Hello, GCSE historians. Welcome to the first lesson in our industrial medicine element. Firstly, I want you to have a look at this beautiful painting. It's a bit pixelated, I know, but hopefully you get the idea. This is one of my favourite paintings, and we're now going to start looking at one of my favourite time periods. So, here, what do we have going on? Well, we've got an experiment happening with vacuum glass. Can you see that there? He's creating a vacuum. And this is a really famous image all about the Enlightenment. So, what is the Enlightenment? Well, the Enlightenment was a cultural and intellectual movement in Europe during the 18th century. And it's got some big names associated with it. You might know names like Voltaire, Montesquieu, Hume, Smith, lots of these great philosophers whose thinking still influences us today. Now, the Enlightenment was all about promoting new ideas and rejecting old authorities, particularly rejecting the authority of the church and the nobility. It was instead said that everybody can think for themselves. And so we get the rise of science. So this is Newton, that sort of thing. Now, why is it called the Enlightenment? Well, if you're good at poetry, you probably know that light is often used as a symbol for knowledge. So it's like a light bulb, a knowledge light bulb has been turned on within Europe, bringing us out of the dark ages where we're all too stupid and didn't know anything and just relied on the church to do our thinking for us. And now we're starting to question and think for ourselves. So, what is the Enlightenment? I'd like you to read the passage by E.H. Gombrich, which gives you a really nice idea of what we mean by enlightenment. As you go, can you try and highlight these key words? Persecuted, pious, tolerated, convictions, rational, endowed, humanity, uncouth. Try and create some definitions of those keywords. Google them, that's absolutely fine. Read around them as well. Remember, read for context in these sentences. And then, within the passage, I want you to answer these three questions. So, what does Gombrich say are the three fundamental principles of the Enlightenment? Why is the period termed the Enlightenment, and what is it contrasted to? And how quick was the change? So, that helps to contextualise what's happening in wider society. Now let's start thinking about how does this affect medicine? So we're moving on from the Renaissance and we're going to see in the industrial period, first of all, what ideas have continued and what ideas are brand spanking new. So what changes are taking place and what continuities are there. We're going to focus first on ideas about the cause of disease. So I'd like you to have a little read of your textbook pages there. Page 69. I want you to have a look for the theory of the four humours, miasma, and spontaneous generation. Then complete this table. Which ones were present before the 18th century? Which ones were used in the 18th century? And which ones were new to the 18th century? So hopefully now you've got this table completed like this. So in this period, they are still lingering elements of the four humours, but they are increasingly becoming unfashionable, and people aren't using the four humours as much. However, miasma, which has been present all the way back to the classical period, back to the Greeks and Romans, that's still being used a lot in this period. And there's a brand spanking new idea: spontaneous generation. Now, spontaneous generation is interesting. It's the first time they're sort of thinking a bit about germs. So they start to see germs during the Renaissance, and they call them animalcules. Do you remember? Tiny little animals. Now, initially in the Renaissance, they don't get that this has any link to disease. So there is a change, because in the industrial period, they understand that these animalcules have a link to disease. They just get it the wrong way round. They look at rotting stuff and they say, there's a lot of animalcules, bacteria, on this rotting stuff. It must mean that rotting causes lots of bacteria to happen, to spontaneously generate. Of course, it's the other way around, isn't it? Bacteria causes rot, causes decay. So they see there's a link, but they get it the wrong way round. They get the cause and effect reversed. So we're going to stop here for today. Hopefully now you've got an idea of some of the new ideas and some of the ideas that have continued into the industrial period. See you later.